In the book of Job, there is a wealthy man named Job living in the land of Uz with his large family and many flocks. He is described as blameless and upright, always striving to live righteously. God points out Job to Satan, saying there is no one on earth like him, a man who fears God and avoids evil. But Satan argues that Job is only faithful because God has blessed him so abundantly. Satan challenges God, claiming that if Job is made to suffer, he will turn away and curse God. God allows Satan to test Job, but forbids him to take Job's life. Over the course of one day, Job receives 4 messages, each worse than the last. He learns that his sheep, his servants, and his 10 children have all died, either by raiders or by natural disasters. In his grief, Job tears his clothes and shaves his head, but even in his sorrow, he praises God in his prayers. Satan returns to heaven, and God permits him to test Job again. This time, Job is afflicted with painful sores all over his body. His wife urges him to curse God and give up, but Job refuses, determined to endure his suffering. 3 of Job's friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, come to comfort him. They sit with Job in silence for 7 days, honoring his deep grief. On the 7th day, Job speaks, and a long conversation begins. Each of the 4 men shares his thoughts about Job's suffering, speaking in poetic language. Job curses the day he was born, comparing life and death to light and darkness. He wishes he had never been born, believing that life only brings him more pain. Eliphaz responds, saying that Job, who once comforted others, clearly never understood their pain. Eliphaz claims that Job must have sinned to deserve such suffering and tells him to seek God's favor. Bildad and Zophar agree, insisting that Job must have done something wrong to provoke God's justice and urge him to act more righteously. Bildad even suggests that Job's children brought their fates upon themselves. Zophar goes further, saying that whatever wrong Job has done, he likely deserves even more suffering than he has received. Job responds to each of these arguments, growing angry and calling his friends worthless physicians who cover up their help with lies. He questions why God judges people by their actions, when God can just as easily forgive or change them. Job is confused by how anyone could truly satisfy God's justice, since God's ways are mysterious and beyond human understanding. He admits that he does not even know himself well enough to defend his case before God. Job wishes for someone who could mediate between him and God, or for God to send him to Sheol, the shadowy realm of the dead. Job believes there is a witness or redeemer in heaven who will defend his integrity. The suffering becomes too much for Job, and he grows bitter, anxious, and afraid. He laments that God allows evil people to prosper while he and many other honest people suffer. Job wants to confront God, but cannot find him. He decides that wisdom is hidden from humans, but resolves to keep seeking wisdom by fearing God and avoiding evil. At last, God speaks to Job, urging him to be brave, and describes the wonders of his creation. Overwhelmed by God's presence, Job acknowledges God's power and accepts the limits of his own understanding. God is pleased with Job's response, but is angry with Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar for their poor advice. Job prays for his friends, and God forgives them. God restores Job's health, gives him twice as much as he had before, new children, and a long, full life. In the end, Job never loses hope or faith in God, serving as an inspiration for anyone enduring hardship.